100th anniversary of his birth. So tonight's reading is not only dedicated to Wayne and the birds, but also to Walt. It's called A Love Letter to Walt Whitman. If these thoughts are not yours as much as they are mine, Walt, then they are nothing. I've always been faithful to your gospel of the women and the men, your body floating invisible above the swimmers, your eyes watching the other bodies bend in the field, the hungry bodies and the wicked bodies, every last one of them your friend, stopping somewhere and waiting for something that each of you needed, forbidden voices and the dance of every organ. Walt, I hear you as the sun dips behind the roof of my mouth, your air and my air and the Gemini rising like prayer, floating between the broken crown and the cracked molar, the smell of disease on my tongue. And this is when I understand that the human body is as holy as the cosmos, all the life smells and sex smells and the stages of decay, the slab of rock where we succumb to the convulsions of the sea. And when you tell me that everything is an appetite, a miracle wrapped inside the flesh of bird sounds and city sounds, inner divinity and outer divinity, I understand that all the answers can be found in the science of particles and sisterhood and brotherhood and love. And I know that you're living inside those holy atoms, Walt, and that all the chemical reactions are just another way of purifying the earth, becoming the compost of the universe, the procreant urge of all the feral cats in New Jersey. Thank you. And last, I would like to welcome up my friend, Claudia Ibieta. Claudia Ibieta is a translator and a bookseller at Changing Hands in Tempe, as well as an active member of the Cartonera Collective of Cardboard House Press in Phoenix, which means she's a bookmaker as well as a writer and a translator. She has lived in Tempe for 28 years and returns to Chile regularly to visit her family. Claudia Ibieta.
Thank you, Rosemarie. And in tradition, can we please have 2 more rounds of applause for Rosemarie? Or a very, very long one. One for the beautiful reading. Another one for believing in birds, thanks to David. As I learned to believe in birds, thanks to Wayne. And Wayne surely took it from Audubon or, who knows, the birds themselves. And thank you all again for being here. We've talked a little bit about Wayne, and so, well, we've been saying his name a lot lately, working with his art, preparing for this event. So I don't know what you guys think about afterlives or whatnot, but we think he might be smiling at all this just because he and birds and art and you have brought us all together. So I want to share a few more words by Wayne, as Michelle has, and a few words that he inspired me or asked me to write. As Michelle mentioned, he was an amazing pen pal. Many of us here, wherever he was that wasn't here, or where he left friends, he was a really wonderful correspondent to those who would write back. So when you received a letter from Wayne, they were so beautiful. How could you not respond? I have a box full of them, full of treasures, but I also have boxes of his journals, which he did encourage us to read. Michelle also mentioned that he was working on books. And there are many fully illustrated books that are waiting, perhaps waiting also to take flight, and many loose writings. This is probably one of the early ones. Again, he didn't date everything, including his artwork. He didn't sign it. There are very few pieces that are signed or dated. Most of them we think are original sketches, but some of them could have been studies. He was a master at teaching himself, and the way he did it was doing series and series of things. So there's much artwork to come. But these words I know are his. This is probably one of the first poems that I found among his things, and you're going to laugh a little bit because his first journals were just words. They weren't illustrated. I don't know if the computer inspired him, but this first poem has a little graphic that he must have downloaded from the internet. And so here, it's the only one I've ever found like that. It's called Birds Watching. Okay. Birds watching. Often I wonder, as I am out walking and watching birds, if they are not looking back and trying to identify me. Old white male, bald, in final molt, mating season unknown, endangered habitat, bent shape and slow, getting slower in movement, migrates with the seasons, endures dangerous times with trepidation and caution, worries about global warming and a sustainable future for children's children. I suppose the bird sees a lot of my kind just about everywhere these days and really doesn't pay much attention anymore. Too bad. We have quite a bit in common. And then a few years later, probably as he decided to leave Phoenix and cities in general, or larger cities. This one is called On Picking Up the Tao. Unsure of just what growing older means, I turn these pages one by one, looking for insight, answers really, or even questions that would become useful and clear up my confusion and uncertainty about what to do, where to go, and how I'll live. Now, my ambition and desire to become proficient creating art and discovering my own style is consuming, but I can feel an ominous increase in the weight of wandering away and alone. From social insurance to only and always cooking for myself. I don't know. Even sage advice falls silent with the burden of acceptance. For now, I'll think of others and give the gift of friendship, unqualified, love and money, and in my own way, preparing for eventualities. And my friendship with Wayne was cemented really through correspondence. He was a man of few words, so when we worked together at the bookstore, which is only a few hours every day, he was always at the trades desk, very busy. He wasn't a talker. He was a man of few spoken words, but he was a great friend and a great writer. So we exchanged a lot of letters, and of course he encouraged me to write. So in response to Birds, I wrote a little ditty. Because this happens all the time. In Birds, I see signs, fully believing it's a trick of my mind to see in those eyes you looking at me while singing, we're all divine. He also encouraged me to write an acrostic poem with my name. So here goes. Clouds in the skies and clouds in my eyes, lavender in my garden, lizard spies, acacia growing rapidly. Funny how time flies, but the birds and I sit and watch the day go by. So in his letters, we encouraged each other back and forth with these little things. And he loved the poems and the work of Pablo Neruda. And I think that's how I kind of sneaked into his his vision, because being from Chile and sharing a birthday with Neruda and being able to talk to him about Neruda and Neruda's homes in Chile, which are beautiful, I could captivate his attention on that end. And the odes, I love Pablo Neruda's odes, and I don't know if that's what inspired him, but he decided we should try to write 100 odes. And I don't think we got that far. I certainly know I only wrote one or two. Right. But again, he liked to do things in series to get better and better at them. So I wrote him an ode. I sent it to him, and he sent it back illuminated, illustrated, actually in 2 versions. Which do you like best? Just different sun shapes, right? It's called Ode to the Sky. So this is an ode I wrote for Wayne, and I'll share with you now. The heavens above are the thing that I love in this ode to the sky, for I live in the desert where the sky is immense and guides me day and night through sunrise and sunset. Artist on a giant scale with brushes of color or towers of clouds or glitter of stars, ours above all. Illuminating, thundering, whispering, or singing, sky is a canvas of moods, magnificent blue, arc of eternity, exposure, yet shelter too. Sky is the father, mother is our earth, and sun, the golden egg that gives birth. Hope at sunrise arrives, and never has sky known a face so bright. Her sister, Esperanza, comes at dusk with a plenitude of trust, so sweet, so profound, as to make sky quietly peaceful all around. The heavens above are the thing that I love in this ode to the sky. And now, a couple of Wayne's odes. Of course, illustrated. This is Ode to Birds of Song. This is just a tiny illustration by comparison. In half-light, dawning, the winds change color, sighing to one another, awakening leaves, giving tender alarm. The wind chimes velvet knell, waves of unseen vibrations pealing. A meek chorus of birds raise earthly voices into the cool light, sounding baroque as Bach would hear the liquid notes clearly this spring morning, with resonance of a night's dreaming transformed into a pleasant thought to begin the day. And he wrote Ode de Sunflower. Stately sentinel of field, pasture, and yard, faithful follower of solar revolutions, friend to bird, bee, bug, and resurrection, guardian of gardens, an open smile welcomes ours, supple through life's stormy uncertainty, enduring the harshest conditions, standing tall till the end, a hollow monument marking a remembrance of summer and return to earth. And I will close with a page from one of his letters. It's probably 10 or 11 years old. Again, everything he wrote was largely illustrated. There's so many books just waiting to be seen. So this page is about a dream. It says, "This was my sueño, my dream. A raven's llamamiento, a bare rama, a bow strung so perfectly and bent